Joining me now is David Lewis from Corruption Watch on the line for us. David, firstly, considering, let's presume that the reports are all true, this 1.6 billion being seized, is it helpful, given that McKinsey's was the only one saying that we will actually pay the money back in any event?
You know, when you commit a crime or break a law, you don't assuage your guilt by paying back the money. If you and I went and stole something and said, oh, don't worry about it, we'll give it back to the person we stole it from, the police would say, sorry, you've committed a crime. You don't only get to pay back the money, you get to be punished for the crime that you've committed. So it really makes absolutely no difference whether McKinsey have now suddenly agreed to cooperate with the inquiry and pay back the money. They have to pay back the money because their assets are going to be frozen, whether they like it or whether they don't like it. But this is a prelude to criminal or civil action that will punish them for what they've done.
Do you welcome? Is this a first move? You say it's at the tip of the iceberg, but it's some movement. Although there are also reports that the NPA received an order a month ago, which suggests that if they are doing something, it's not with much enthusiasm.
Well, that's what it does sound like. I mean, they've said that the festive season interrupted. I don't see why that is the case. The criminal justice authorities don't go close down for the festive season, nor I would vouch as McKinsey or Trillian. So it doesn't seem that it seems that the Asset Forfeiture Unit have pursued this with some vigor. It doesn't seem that the National Prosecuting Authority, which is who has to serve the order, have been, exactly in a hurry to do so. And, now what this has to follow is a criminal investigation. And frankly, I think we all have reason to be skeptical about both the competence and the independence of the criminal investigation, as long as the present leadership of the NPA remains in office. I mean, bear in mind that pursuant to an order that we persuaded the court to make last year, Sean Abrams was removed from office. The only reason why he's still there is because he appealed it. But in fact, the deputy president, who was instructed by the court to appoint the new head of the National Prosecuting Authority, should go ahead and appoint that new head right away so that these asset forfeiture actions can be followed by the appropriate criminal investigations.
David, does Corruption Watch know if he's actually got that legal clout? Surely lawyers on the other side will say the appeal process has to be finished first, so Cyril Ramaphosa's hands are tied, even if he wanted to replace Sean Abrahams.
I'm not sure that that's true. I think that there is a debate about that, a legal debate about it, but I think my advice is that the order of the court is enforceable right away.
Is the National Prosecuting Authority, I think this is the big question, is it sitting on a trove of evidence that it can go to the courts? I mean, the claims of bribery, there's a whole email trail. Is it enough, or can it argue, look, sorry, we need to investigate, we need something more concrete to really push all the state capture cases?
I mean, we're all sitting on a trove of evidence. You and I are sitting on a trove of evidence. I mean, anybody who's been reading the newspapers over the last many years, and particularly since the release of the Gupta emails, knows the evidence. If the NPA have only woken up and got off their hands and are starting to investigate it now, that alone is good enough reason to remove Sean Abrams and his closest lieutenants. So, yes, there is evidence aplenty. I mean, in one, particularly focused matter, the matter of Tom Moyane and Jonas Makwakwa at SARS, we laid a criminal charge against both of them in what I think is a pretty open and shut case well over a year ago now, and they've done absolutely nothing about it. I mean, the fact is that the NPA has been the most captured institution of all, even though there are very good people in the NPA. The leadership was thoroughly captured by Zuma. In fact, I think was the first instance of state capture, and that's why they haven't acted to date. So if they're only starting their investigations now, well, they've got a lot of catching up to do, but they can do it quite quickly because there is plenty of evidence out there.
Final question, do you get the sense that the political will is rising to change things, to deal with state capture, and is that what was needed actually?
Well, I think that it is. I mean, the reason why there was no political will before was because the president's family and the family of these close friends, the Guptas, were on the end of just about every allegation of state capture there was. So having, not certainly diminished President Zuma's powers considerably, I would imagine that removes a major obstacle to the political will that you correctly say is required to prosecute these cases.
All right, thank you very much. David Lewis on the line from Corruption Watch. So our number of the day, 1.6 billion, reportedly has been seized or will be seized, a drop in the ocean. If you look at the estimates that the money stolen through state capture could be around 100 billion rand. Peter?